In this episode, you'll discover why questioning your deepest beliefs is essential for growth and how to rewrite the numbness of past conditioning. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness. Three things you'll discover today. Number one, why you must be skeptical about who you've been told that you are. Number two, the power of journaling and asking the question, why? Number three, how to tear up the paper of your old priorities. Okay, so questioning your deepest beliefs and rewriting the numbness of the past, we're going to connect this. Number one, why you must be skeptical about who you've been told that you are. See, as you grow up, you are spoken to in a certain way by people. You're around people in that time, it compounds. It influences your memory. You have experiences which create your memory. And then you also get knowledge. People are teaching you. Whether you go to school, you're homeschooled, the bottom line is that you are like a sponge. You don't always have to be that way, but especially when you're young, that's the nature of the spirit and the soul. It comes here and the ego isn't fully developed, the sense of self. So there's a slow unfolding of this identity form. Not bad nor good, but it is important that we are skeptical because whether you have a rich situation or a poor situation, people will influence you. And they may influence you in a way where they are creating lies. And if you do not question the lies, then you will blindly accept them for truth. And if you begin to live a life from a foundation of lies that you thought were true, then everything else that you do in your life it's kind of like if you don't give a plant sunlight or soil or water, it has a terrible foundation. That plant is set up and positioned poorly. The thing is that you will go through this in different ways, different forms with different people, different times in your life. And you'll realize that you're being challenged and that there is an opportunity for you to somehow release the resistance which has been created to teach you. The resistance, it comes in the form of energy within your gut, your heart, and your mind. It may be anxiety. It could be fearful thinking. It could be self-doubt and self-judgment. You kind of get the vibe. In your gut, fire, bad health. And in your heart, same thing, right? Heartburn. There's levels of discerning and understanding all the alchemy which happens in your vessel. And we don't need to make this a masterclass right now, but very practically, it's important for us to question why we think how we think. It's important to understand the connection between our actions and our energy, the feedback loops that we create. Very simply, it's kind of like you eat food, and let's say you don't wash any dishes. The next time you go to eat food, you have to wash all the dishes before you can even start making food. You see what I mean? That's a feedback loop. So rather, you clean up, you close loops, you feel deeply, you're honest about the lies, the grudges, the pain. You question yourself. The big thing is that you create the space in your life to have these conversations, whether it be pen to paper, you journaling, whether it be you having a talk with someone who is actually capable of listening, which honestly, be very discerning in choosing who you speak to. Because there are a lot of people, for example, give you something practical. There's a career therapist. They do therapy, but they earn an income from it. Not everything that you make money from will corrupt you. There are amazing, genuine therapists who do that for a living, who care, who who have a heart which is on fire in a beautiful way, and they listen and they will do everything they possibly can to help you feel understood and to help you understand yourself and to help you learn. But then there are other situations where there are insecure therapists who have not felt their own pain and have just found themselves in that situation. And what they are doing is they are attached to being someone who is in the position of being a therapist. They make money from it and they show up, but they don't actually listen. They're thinking and they're reacting instead of responding. So you and your heart need to be capable of feeling whom to open up to. This is a great practice for letting your intuition grow and expand. And the thing is, you got to be skeptical to even have the realization that what you're doing might need to change, whether it be a relationship with a certain person. You're going to have tough connections with people. There are going to be people in your life where they give you some attitude, or they're petty, or they're immature, and you can't force them to change. So what do, right? You're confronted with that form of energy. Like, man, I thought it was this way, but it's really not. And that requires such courage and honesty that strengthens you. And it all starts from being skeptical about what you're doing, who you are, and who you've been told to be, and the beliefs that you accept. I'll leave you with one last point on this topic, which is to walk in faith is not to believe. A lot of people say they're believers, but to believe is being a little weak. To believe is separate from having faith. Because when you believe, you leave space for it not being true. You're not certain when you believe. Hope is hoping because there is the space that it doesn't actually get fulfilled. But when you have faith, you trust. It's irrevocable. There is a certainty that you are being supported, that you are not alone, even in the darkest, toughest moments. So that is all the seed, or the harvest rather, of being skeptical. You can only have powerful realizations about the nature of how this thing was made, what we are, what you're doing here, and who you are, because you were skeptical. Now, point number 2, the power of journaling and asking the question, why? So, I want to make a disclaimer very quick that asking the question why is not always necessary. But there is a power in journaling in asking the question of why in relationship to things that you have the power over. That's the real asterisk. Because if you're asking why about things that you don't have the power over, then you may not get the answer, and the answer doesn't matter. You won't know why. You don't need to know why. You'll later understand why when you stop obsessing over wanting to know why. But when you have your energy, whether it be you notice you're anxious, you're sad, you're fearful, you're rageful, you're jealous, you're insecure, you're in a rush, whatever it is, you need to ask why. And you'll start to see that the root is always that you are thinking. And there's nothing wrong with thinking, but there is something wrong with, in the moment, letting your mind overwhelm your awareness of your gut and your heart. Because if you solely live in your head, then you won't free yourself. You free yourself through movement, through action. That doesn't mean you need to always be moving. Sometimes sitting down and doing nothing is the best action you could possibly do. Do you see the paradox? So when you journal, you take the courage to notice your state of being, which is internal and unseen in your head, your heart, and your gut, and you write and you get clarity through inquiring into what built the current state? Why do I feel how I feel? That's an okay question. Not why did someone do this to me? That's not how we're using why. We use it in terms of inquiry, contemplation, self-understanding. When you walk this path, then you are less of a headless chicken, a zombie, and a robot. Because you start to see so many people are living solely in their head. Their head runs their life. And there isn't a heart-aligned action. There isn't a rhythm. And that isn't bad nor good. It's important for us to learn. We have to go through being blind to appreciate the texture, the color, the shapes, the sizes of sight. You can't just skip it. So when I say things of that nature, there isn't a form of judgment. There is just, hey, you have to walk through that path and you discern. How long, how deep, that is in your power. Now, point number 3, how to tear up the paper of your old priorities. I think we'll keep on the note of using the pen and paper because you are going to have ideas of things that you need to do, places to be. But then when you feel and you're honest and you reflect, you start to notice you're bad at saying no. You say yes because you're scared of saying no. And any choice out of fear is not a choice for your most powerful being, for your realest, most beautiful life. Any choice out of fear is not it. Einstein said that the problem cannot be solved at the same level of consciousness which it was created. To move through courage is one of the simplest ways for you to realize that what you thought were your priorities was just weakness. And then you redesign your life through a new level of living, a new level of awareness. You redesign the way that you move, the cadence in your voice and in your steps, the volume and tones which you create. It all shifts when there's a aligned presence within you. And you tear up the old priorities when you realize you've just been rushing. You've just been moving through a panic. You've just been surviving. Again, it's all necessary. I'm not judging you if you are a rusher. But it's something for you to look at. Why do you rush? What is behind positioning yourself so poorly that you rush? And again, in the last video, I told you, I find myself late to jujitsu, but I also told you that I don't rush, that it's a chill environment. And it's extremely important for us to get with it, to stop resisting. Because you'll come to see that frequently a practical example of how rushing is born is you don't want to do something that you know you need to do. You're mentally in a place of not accepting that you are going to do that thing. So then you drag on with unproductive, draining actions. A great example is choosing to watch TV while that cuts into the amount of time you should have for sleep, right? A very practical example that everyone listening to this can probably, when you position yourself in that manner, of course you're more likely to rush, right? Because when you cut into your sleep, then you're less likely to wake up early. When you wake up later, you have less time to prepare. No wonder you find yourself in a rush. So then the deeper inquiry is realizing, man, what's up with me not wanting to go to bed? Why is my relationship to going to bed so fissured, so broken? There must be something there. Maybe, could I write about it? You see what I mean? So, and that's how you really begin to realize, oh wait, YouTube or Netflix at 9 o'clock isn't my priority. Taking a shower at 7:30 and having the lights off at 8 is a priority, you know? And you start to realize it's micro, but it's also macro. it's how you do one thing that creates how you do everything. You could say cliches, but it takes something deeper to actually change. And I'm just speaking on this because the path is all I really know. Um, I can feel when I'm living a foolish life, and I can feel when I'm aligned with the meaning of why I'm on this planet. And there's a contrast, right? And I'm sure you can feel it too, because we all have, that's the one thing that we all have, the ability to feel. And that's consciousness itself. Maybe someone's blind, maybe someone's deaf. But I'll end with this. There was a child who had I'm not sure what it was, some form of limiting condition. And I'm pretty sure he was also blind. His mom started to notice that whenever she had a very minor thought in the kitchen, like, I need this utensil, she didn't pick up on it immediately, not at all. But after time went on and time went on, she realized that this kid could read her thoughts. That every time she needed a certain utensil, although he was limited and he couldn't do that much, he was always there with that utensil in his hand, waiting for her. And it clicked. And she realized, wow. So I leave you with that because that's the essence of this universe. The kid may be limited in some form. There's always another one that I love is if you take a car and you max out the horsepower, the handling suffers. But if in other way, you max out the handling, well then, can you really have max acceleration, max handling, max horsepower? And I would say maybe with enough money. So that's why that example isn't as good as the other one. But really, that first story is similar to the essence of awakening. It's those little moments. It's those sort of things where the kid's not telling you he has telepathy, and no one really has that. How rare is something that powerful? But in the same lens, I'll even kind of break that down a bit further because I'm truly fascinated by that story. It's like if an average person had telepathy and could read everyone's thoughts, that would be terrible because you're around too many people. Your mind would be overstimulated. You already have enough chatter with your own thinking. And that's why we can't do. But for that child in that situation, he may only be around certain people, like his mother, often. And it's those sort of gifts that are given in miraculous ways, where, of course, it's the child with a multitude of very limited conditions who has such a power. And you see, there's a deeper story written there. And you have to learn to realize what your power is. Because everyone has certain strengths. And they can be miraculous. But you're going to have to let them work in alignment with that which is greater than your obsession with who you think yourself to be. Now, you are meant, here's the summary, and then I'll do the recap. Wait, actually, we'll do the recap first. Why you must be skeptical about who you've been told you are. It's really about the process of rewriting numbness and dumbness in a form of, you see there are blind beliefs, limiting beliefs, weak beliefs, and you start to break that stuff down, and it frees you. Now, the power of journaling and asking the question why. It seems simple, but if you just write your priorities and then you ask why, you're going to expose yourself to underlying foundations, deeper threads. And that journaling takes courage, but it's super powerful because it lets you simplify and understand and be so much smoother, sharper, just the best you possibly can be. Now, how to tear up the paper of your old priorities. You are the creator of the change that you do or don't make in your life. And if your priorities and beliefs are not serving you, you have to tear up that paper. You have to get good at questioning and just being open to the fact that maybe your life could change. So, summary, you're meant to question and rewrite things, not blindly accept them. Commitment to this nuance ensures that you are always learning and that your mind stays open, leading to a necessary spiritual expansion. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. I'm grateful for your listening. I truly am. Share it with someone if you think you know anyone who would resonate with this. And book is out. It'll be in the description. The book is out.